My boss stole my Super Bowl tickets. Not lost, not forgot. Stole. He took a personal gift meant for me. 30-yard line seats to watch my team play in the biggest game of my life. And handed them to a stranger to make himself look good. He thought I'd never find out. He was wrong. And when the truth came out, it didn't come out in some angry email or a screaming match in the office. It came out in a conference room in front of his own client in the most excruciating 5 minutes of his career. Stick around, because this one is painful to watch unfold. For him, not for us. If you've ever had someone in a position of power take something that was never theirs to take, and then smile at you like nothing happened, this story is for you. Before we get into it, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because we post stories like this multiple times a week, and trust me, the ending of this one is worth the wait. Let's get into it. Let me paint the picture for you. I worked at a consulting firm, the kind of place where relationships were the business. You didn't just manage a client's account. You built a friendship with them. You learned their kids' names. You remembered how they took their coffee. And somewhere along the way, if you did it right, that professional relationship turned into something real. That's what happened with one of my accounts. We'll call him Client. He was sharp, easygoing, and, most importantly for this story, he knew exactly one deeply personal thing about me. I was a diehard San Francisco 49ers fan. Not a casual, wear the jersey on Sundays fan. The full send, arrive at the parking lot 8 hours early, tailgate like it's a religion kind of fan. We'd grab drinks after meetings. We'd talk football before we ever talked business. And when my team clawed their way into the Super Bowl that year, he saw an opportunity to do something kind. He had access to a pair of extra company seats. Real ones, 30-yard line, the kind of tickets that resell for more than most people's monthly rent. He decided, as a thank you for the work I'd done for him, to gift them to me. He didn't hand them to me directly. He did what felt, at the time, like the professional thing. He passed them to the partner overseeing our relationship with the firm. We'll call this man exactly what he earned the right to be called, dickhead partner. Now sit with that for a second. A gift meant for me, personally, as a thank you. Placed directly into the hands of the one man in the office with both the access and the ego to make it disappear. Here's the part that should make your stomach turn. I had no idea any of this happened. Zero. The Super Bowl came. The Niners lost, which stung enough on its own. Life moved on. I never got so much as a text saying, "Hey, tickets are waiting for you." Weeks later, at another one of our usual after-work drinks, Client casually brings it up. Not accusingly, not even suspiciously. Just confused. "Hey, by the way," he says, swirling the ice in his glass, "why didn't you go to the game? I heard someone else was in your seats." I remember the exact feeling of my stomach dropping. Not anger yet. Just confusion, that disorienting half second before your brain catches up to what you're hearing. "What game?" I asked. "The Super Bowl." I didn't have seats to the Super Bowl. The look on his face in that moment told me everything before he said another word. He explained it slowly, like he was still trying to convince himself it was a misunderstanding. The tickets, the gift, dickhead partner as the middleman. He watched my face change as I realized what he was describing had never reached me. Not a text. Not a mention. Nothing. He told me to quietly ask around when I got back to the office. So I did. It didn't take long. One conversation with a secretary who happened to be in the loop, and there it was, laid out flat. Dickhead partner had taken those Super Bowl tickets. A personal gift earmarked for me by name, and given them to a completely different client. As a gift. From the firm. Buying goodwill with tickets that were never his to give away, using my name and my relationship as the currency. I want you to really sit with the audacity of that for a second. This wasn't a mix-up. This wasn't an assistant losing an envelope. This was a grown man in a position of authority, looking at a gift explicitly meant for someone else and deciding his own image mattered more. Normally, I'm not a scorched earth person. I pick my battles. But these weren't concert tickets. These weren't dinner reservations. This was the Super Bowl. My team. 30-yard line. A once-in-a-career gift, quietly stolen and repurposed to make someone else look generous at my expense. I was furious, the kind of furious that sits in your chest and doesn't move. Here's where I had to make a decision. I could march into Dickhead Partner's office and confront him directly. Satisfying maybe for about 10 seconds. And then career suicide. He was a partner. I was not. In a firm built on hierarchy, going toe-to-toe with him myself was a losing move no matter how right I was. But there was another option. The client had noticed first. The client was owed answers. And if I let him drive this, any consequences that landed on Dickhead Partner would have nothing to do with me stirring the pot. They'd be the natural result of a client feeling disrespected. I wouldn't be the villain in this story. I wouldn't even be the one holding the knife. I'd just be standing quietly to the side while the truth did the work for me. So I sent client one simple text. Hey, I just wanted to thank you so much for thinking of me with those seats. It appears they were given to another one of our firm's clients. His reply came back almost instantly in all caps. Are you shitting me? Then, seconds later, pretend I never told you. Let me handle this. I felt something settle in my chest right then. Not relief exactly. More like the calm of watching dominoes get lined up, one by one, knowing exactly which direction they were about to fall. A few days later, the request came in, a meeting at the client's office, partner attendance required, nothing unusual on paper. Dickhead partner and I booked flights and headed out, him completely oblivious, humming along like a man who'd gotten away with something. He had no idea he was walking into a stage that had already been built for him. When we stepped into the conference room, everything looked routine. Until I noticed a woman in her 30s I didn't recognize sitting at the table. Client made the introduction with a perfectly straight face. Dickhead partner, this is Stephanie, VP from another department. She wanted to sit in on this one. Then, turning to me with the faintest flicker in his eyes. Hey, you guys must already know each other from the Super Bowl. Stephanie played her part beautifully, extending a hand. Oh, I don't think so. Did we meet there? Sorry if I forgot. Client feigning confusion. Geez, Steph, how much did you have to drink? You were sitting right next to them. I delivered my line clean and flat. Sorry, I wasn't there. Are you thinking of someone else? And that's when I watched it happen in real time. Dickhead partner's face didn't just fall. It drained. You could see the exact moment his mind started scrambling for an exit that didn't exist. He started. Stephanie cut smoothly across him. No, actually. Some people from a completely unrelated company were in the other seats. Funny, I was wondering why we gave company tickets to them. Is there a project I don't know about? There wasn't. It would have made about as much sense as a soda company gifting Super Bowl tickets to a tractor manufacturer. Another strangled, from Dickhead partner. Client leaned in now, voice climbing just slightly. Dickhead partner, I gave you those tickets for them. Turning bright red, he stammered, oh, well, they weren't able to make it, so I figured they must have given the seats away to someone else. Then he turned to me, silently begging me to back him up. I didn't. What are you talking about? You gave me tickets to the Super Bowl. Client's voice sharpened, no longer performing confusion, now openly furious. Those tickets were a personal thank you gift from me to them. Did you give them to someone else? Was it another client? Dickhead partner had nothing left. Oh, maybe something got mixed up in the office? The silence that followed felt like it stretched on forever. I watched him sit there, exposed, with absolutely nowhere left to hide. Then client spoke, quiet and final. I think this meeting is over. It seems like I owe them a thank you gift. Let's go to lunch. Stephanie, you're welcome to join. Dickhead partner, I need to evaluate our relationship. Go home. Expect to hear from us next week. Dickhead partner tried, pathetically, to invite himself along, presumably to do damage control. Stephanie shut it down instantly. I don't think that's a good idea. Security walked him to the elevator. The second those doors closed, the room broke into laughter. Stephanie wasn't even a real VP. Just an employee client had recruited to play a role in his perfectly engineered ambush. And she turned out to be a fellow Niners fan who joined us for lunch and was an absolute blast. The aftermath was even sweeter than the confrontation itself. Client sent his demands through me, invoices for the resale value of the tickets. Well over $10,000. Plus our very expensive, very deliberately overpriced lunch to be paid immediately. A direct apology to me, a written apology to his company. And going forward, he'd only work with me or another partner. Never Dickhead partner again. Back at the firm, I somehow came out looking like the hero. The guy who'd quietly fought to save the client relationship despite being the one wronged in the first place. The client transferred to another partner, stripping Dickhead partner of any profit share on that account going forward. And the other partners, they made him personally pay back every dollar of those invoices straight out of his own salary. There's a very particular kind of satisfaction in watching someone squirm under the weight of their own lie. Not because you raised your voice, not because you had to lift a finger, but because the truth simply caught up to them in front of the exact people whose opinion they cared about most. That conference room wasn't a trap I built. It was a trap he built for himself, the moment he decided my gift was his to give away. In the end, I never got to sit in those seats. My team still lost that Super Bowl. But I got something else. Proof that you don't always have to be the one holding the knife to get justice. Sometimes the best revenge is simply stepping back and letting someone's own arrogance do the work for you. I left that firm a few months later for a better opportunity, and years on, that client ended up leaving too. Landing, funny enough, at a firm where a good friend of mine now works. Some circles really do close themselves. If this story had you gripping your seat waiting for that conference room to blow up, smash that like button right now. And tell me in the comments. What's the most satisfying moment of karma you've ever personally witnessed? I read every single one. Subscribe for more true revenge stories because trust me, we've got plenty more where this came from. See you in the next one.